Hello there, badgers. One angry pagan here. So last night I was just scrolling through the nature news on Bing, on Google, whatever, and this story popped up um, from the Guardian, and it's about some Scottish news. So I thought I'd take a look, and I like this. So the headline here is Naturescot may raise more than £100 million in private investment for conservation. Investors in talks about supporting up to 15 government-backed nature restoration projects in Scotland. Now, you know I'm not the biggest fan of private investment because they've always got a fucking agenda, and it's not usually a good one. But this, I think the only people who are willing to put money into this are people who actually believe in the projects. So this is really good. So let's have a look. This is done by Severin Carroll, Scotland editor of The Guardian. And this was from 30th of September 2025. So I'm going to put the link to this in the description below. And let me know what you guys think of this. So let's get into this. Private investors are in talks about spending tens of millions of pounds on government-backed nature restoration projects in Scotland, the country's conservation agency has said. Naturescot said its so-called nature investment partnerships were on course to raise more than £100 million for up to 15 projects as it sought to fend off detailed criticisms of its fundraising efforts by an economics think tank. In a new report, Future Economy Scotland (FES) said relying on investors such as banks, pension funds and asset managers was wasteful and counterproductive because their primary concern was making a profit, not tackling the climate or nature emergencies. Now, that's what I was worried about in the beginning. Naturescot has been under intense pressure to bolster the modest grants it receives to meet ambitious Scottish Government targets to restore peatland and natural ecosystems. Woodland creation funding for the agency Forestry and Land Scotland has also been cut recently. That's not good. Scotland has repeatedly missed its woodland and peatland restoration targets. It wants to plant about 200,000 hectares or 494,211 acres with trees by 2032, partly to meet its climate targets, but has missed every annual target. Analysts believe tree planting can attract investors by earning carbon credits and adding financial value. However, peatland offers far lower financial returns and is rarely used for carbon offsetting and is costly to restore. But if you've seen if you've seen one of my last eco vids about peatland, we know it's really important for carbon offsetting. So is it going to be expensive to restore it? Yes, but it needs to be done. About 1.3 million hectares or 3,212,370 acres of Scottish peatland are degraded and are Scotland's largest single source of emissions from land use, releasing about 6.3 million tonnes of CO2 equivalent in 2022. Was that 3 years ago? Naturescot estimates it could cost more than £3 billion to restore that area, yet since 1990 only 99,200 hectares or 245,129 acres have been revived, far short of the target to complete 250,000 hectares or 617,763 acres by 2030. Government advisors warn there is a very high risk Scotland will miss its 2045 net zero target, largely due to failures to restore peatland. This is a huge problem which is stare us in the face, said Laurie McFarlane, director of the FES. Thinking that commercial investors are going to fix things is foolhardy. There is not the money there. We need fresh thinking. Okay. It should replace grants with interest-free government loans, repayable if the landowner sells the carbon credits for a profit in the future. McFarlane said, as well as annual operations payments. FES calculated doing so would cost an extra $40 million a year to cover loans which could not be recovered. To widespread skepticism, Naturescot originally claimed in March 2023 that a new private financing strategy could mobilise $2 billion to fund nature recovery projects over the next 30 years. That claim, from the then Biodiversity Minister Lorna Slater, was linked to a widely criticised estimate of a $20 billion gap between the overall costs and the available funding for nature recovery in Scotland. Since then, a proposed pilot project to restore the Atlantic rainforest has been dropped. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. One of the first business partners, Lombard ODA, has pulled out, and Naturescot failed to launch a woodland project in the Scottish borders worth up to £300 million in spring 2023 as promised. That's disappointing. I know they're doing good work up in Scotland, but that's disappointing, I have to say. Naturescot has now set a much lower initial target of raising $100 million for its renamed Nature Investment Partnership, ACANIF, which is being run with the Edinburgh-based investment company Aberdeen. Right. So far, the partnership has confirmed only a $50 million commitment from the UK government's National Wealth Fund, but Naturescot insisted it was in talks with private investors who could provide more than the £100 million initially envisaged for 10 to 15 large privately funded projects. Okay. The Borders Woodland project was still being worked on, it said, whilst the $2 billion figure remained an aspiration and an indication of the long-term potential scale of private finance. This does worry me, I have to admit, but at the same time, we need to get that money for these private investors like these rich people need to have their money moving. We need to get their money moving because we're part of the problem is their money is staying in their bank accounts. We need to get that money out of their bank accounts, get that money moving, get it doing stuff. If we can get it doing stuff on this, great. As this development work is currently live and not finalised legally, we are unable to publicly disclose further details, Naturescot said, adding that the FES analysis was useful but ignored the fact that grants made up only a part of the spending needed for nature restoration. Brendan Turvey, Naturescot's nature restoration manager, said, "We are working on a wide range of approaches, including investment, philanthropy, and blended finance to increase investment in nature to help us restore Scotland's future." Okay, so it wouldn't surprise me if some of this is I know. See, from one hand, I hear that the Labour government is the Labour Westminster government has chucked more money up to Scotland. Yet at the same time, I'm also guessing that there's been a lack of investment from the UK government in this area, which means that they're having to rely on private investment or public-private investment into this just to get this shit going. I don't know about Future Economy Scotland. Davey, if you're watching, or Stephen Bankier, if any of you Scots are watching, could you let me know what Future Economy Scotland is like as an economics think tank? Is it right leaning? Does it mean well? Is it what like? I don't know much about this think tank. So if you guys could let me know on that, that would help me like solidify what I think on this. But as it is, I think in concept this is good. I just worry about, as it says here, that commercial investors are not going to take this seriously, and they're only going to be in it for profit. So it makes me think. But my initial reaction to this is I think this is good. Obviously, more money going into nature restoration is good, but it does worry me that a whole bunch of projects have been cut, and what was it? The Atlantic rainforest, the proposed pilot project to restore the Atlantic rainforest has been dropped. I'm not happy with that. I have to admit, I'm not happy with that. And this is in the Guardian. Like the Guardians, they're definitely left leaning. So I wonder, is this British? Is this English? Is this an English paper like looking down on Scotland, or are they genuinely looking at this and going, this isn't quite good enough? Any Scots that watch this, please let me know, because I'm very interested to get your thoughts on this. So yeah, let's see if Naturescot can do this. I really hope that they do get the funds going. I really do. I hope they come to a properly decent agreement on this, because Scotland's ecosystems need, like, just like England, just like Cymru, Alba's ecosystems need restoring just as much as our own here in England and up and in Cymru. So, well, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, I think I'm on board with this if it works. I am a bit worried that it won't. So yeah, let me know. Let me know what you guys think. I will put the link to this in the description below. My next next EnviroVid should be tomorrow. Should be. I know I said this for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but it should be. We should be doing it tomorrow. Alright? So, blessed be badgers, or freeze, love and blessings, I should say, to all you wonderful badgers. Look after yourselves, and yeah, tell me what you think. My sword at your back, my sword at your service, and my shield at your back, badgers. That's the individuals.